the book of Joshua, session number 27. And we are wondering about this captain of the host of Yahuwah, this glorious commander of the heavenly armies. We know that this is somebody that God has sent out of heaven. God has sent us someone. God has sent Joshua and Israel someone that is sent from him. Somebody that is connecting the power of God from heaven with us here on earth. And who is that connection? Jacob dreamt about the ladder reaching from heaven all the way down to him on earth. And the New Testament says, Yeshua, that I am the ladder that Jacob dreamt about. This connection between us and our God. This help from God to us. Hidden power that only those who trust in God wholeheartedly can see and hear and understand and believe in. This power is revealed in this commander, in this mighty warrior, in this God who says that he is coming back to this earth to fight against the enemy of God, the enemy of Israel, the enemy of light and truth, the enemies that has been against the kingdom of God since the beginning, the enemies that is controlled by him who has been against God since the beginning. In the prophet Habakkuk, in Habakkuk chapter 3, verse 16, when I heard, my belly trembled, my lips quivered, trembled, my lips quivered at the voice. Rottenness entered into my bones, and I trembled with fear in myself, that I might rest in the day of trouble, when he comes up unto the people, when he will invade the nations with his army. So this God is invading this world's nations, all the nations that is not called by his name, and all the nations of the world that rebels against his will, and that does not turn to the God who created everything, and all the nations that are controlled by the power that has been infesting this world, that is rooted in the tree of knowledge of good and evil, that is built on the foundation of the illuminated system, where serpent in the garden says, I will open your eyes, I will give you illumination, and follow me, and all those who follow them. This God is indeed sending his commander Joshua to help you against the Nephilim giant city Jericho, the Babylonian system. And to us today, this commander is sent to us. Let us remain on our knees and let us look up and see him, not only where he is coming to destroy with his heavenly host, with his troops, to destroy this world and the whole serpent kingdom, but also to help you in your battle today, because we have many battles every single day, and we can't always think about the end times and what is lying ahead if we don't have even enough strength to get through our battle. So this is the commander, the captain of the heavenly host, and we don't have to fear and tremble. Yes, we fear him. We tremble before him. He is mighty and glorious, and we fall on our face before him. But we fear him with this respectful admiration and love and wonder. We don't fear the enemy anymore because we are with him. He who is with us is bigger than he who is with the world. And this is our commander, our captain of the heavenly host. Our preparation for whatever battle is in your life, whether it's your children, your husband, your wife, your family, your job, a sickness, an illness, financial trouble, you being afraid of what's happening in there that is coming, the mandates, the lockdowns, or whether it's all of that together, culminating in you facing this giant mountain in your life, whatever your mountain is. This captain is teaching us how to fight. Read the whole Psalm 18. It is beautiful how David was feeling he was drowning in an ocean of enemies, in an ocean of troubles and fear, and how God came down and rescued him. And then God just kept him with himself a little bit. Maybe it's time that you just spend a little bit of time with Yahuwah, so that God could teach David's right arm to make war. And after God has taught him how to make war, he sent him out again to go and defeat the enemies. You can defeat the enemies in your life. Again to go and defeat the enemies. You can defeat the enemies in your life. You can. I'm not teaching prosperity. I'm talking about the enemies that is keeping you from God. The enemies that is keeping you captive in Egypt, keeping you in bondage of either fear or despair, or starting to doubt God, or the enemies that is coming with all kinds of other doctrines and teachings and making you turn away from the truth. All these enemies, in the name of Yahuwah, you can defeat them. God was teaching David, bringing him out of the ocean in which he was drowning. Maybe in our drowning, we have to, like Joshua, just come and kneel before this glorious captain of the heavenly host. And we must ask him, like Joshua's asking him, what are you saying to your servant? What says my Lord unto his servant? Joshua 5 verse 14. We just have to spend some time at his feet, because that is where he can teach us the next step. We need to calm down, and we need to slow down, and we need to spend time with Yahuwah, time in his word, time on our face before him, the living Torah, with our noses in the Torah, with our noses in the word, because the word has become flesh and is the captain of the army of hosts. Yahuwah's word, Yahuwah's power, Yahuwah's salvation that he has sent out through his voice, through the wind, the ruach that came out of his mouth, that carried the word, Yeshua, from the beginning. This manifestation on earth, this that God has been sending to earth for him. And we put our noses in his word, and we allow him to just calm our nerves and just slow our heart rate and just make still our fears. What must we do, O captain of the host? And he says, just take off your shoes. Just relax. Just spend some time with me. Just stop your hustling and your bustling and you're looking all around. Who's going to help me? Where am I going to go? How am I going to do this? How am I going to get over this high wall? How am I going to defeat this Babylonian Jericho enemy system? How am I going to get through this giant that is busy destroying my family or my marriage, or whatever your situation is? Each one of you know what I'm talking about. Each one of you know what I'm talking about. And all this captain, this one that was sent by God from heaven, this one, Yeshua, that was sent by God, all he is saying is take off your shoes, because the ground on which you stand is holy. Not because the ground is special. There's nothing special about the ground. It's special because you are now realizing who I am. And you are not falling on your backside because you have never known me. But you fall in front of me because you have actually known me all your life. You've just never known me in this form. Now that you know who I am, just spend some time. Just relax. Bow before me. Listen, take off your shoes. You're not going anywhere now. Listen, take off your shoes. You're not going anywhere now. You're not running around anymore. Take off your shoes. And just spend some time before me. Because I know what you're busy with. I know how weak you feel and how defeated and how weary and tired you might feel. Just come here before me. Because he says in Revelation 3:8, I know your works. Behold, don't worry. I know you've got little bit strength. But although you only have a little strength, don't worry. I know how busy you've been. I know all the works you've done. I know how you're trying to serve me. I have set before you an open door. And relax now. Just stay here with me and trust me. This door that I have opened, no man can shut it. Why can no man shut it? You don't know how you're going to do this. You have kept my word. You have not denied my name. And because you've kept my word, you've not denied my name, I'm showing you now who I am. I'm the captain of God's mighty army. And there's a door open for you that no man can shut. Just relax. I know exactly your works. I know exactly your situation. You are not alone. Just take off your shoes and spend some time with me. Poor Jeremiah, he knows exactly how he feels. He complains to God. Jeremiah 12:1. Righteous are you, O Yahuwah, when I plead with you. Yet let me talk with you of your judgments. Tell me, wherefore does the way of the wicked prosper? Wherefore are all they happy that deal so treacherously? You have planted them, they've taken root, they grow, they bring forth fruit, they are near in their mouth and far from their reigns. The poor Jeremiah is complaining. He's also facing giants. He's facing an unknown enemy. He's facing a massive walled city, all these enemies. Everybody around him that is not following in the way of God is so happy and they're prosperous and their ways are fine. How can it be? But he takes off his shoes and he's coming to Yahuwah. Listen, just like Jeremiah, we can also come and complain to God. Whether you come to him to complain, whether you come to him to cry, whether you come to him to maybe fight with him a little bit, contend with him, maybe struggle with him. Remember how Jacob struggled with God. Maybe struggle with him. Remember how Jacob struggled with God right through the night. And only at the end of his struggle did God bless him. Yahuwah doesn't get offended when you come to him with your tears and your problems and your complaining. Because through your conversation and your tears and your anguish that you bring before him, at least you come before him. And that's where you're going to get your strength and your answers. So take off your shoes, come before him. Even if you don't feel like praising him, even if you feel like questioning him, it's fine. He's going to answer you. He's going to help you. But he's going to answer you, like he says in Revelations, because you kept his word. And sometimes we fall and we make mistakes and we sometimes fail. We don't always keep his word, but run away from him. We don't run away in shame like Adam and Eve. We don't run away from him like the rest of the world runs away from him. No. In our failure and doubt even and fear, let us run towards him and take off our shoes and spend time with him, even if it is in complaining. Oh, why does the wicked prosper? Why do they grow like plants? Jeremiah 12:3. But you, O Yahuwah, you know me. You have seen me. You have tested my heart towards yourself. And then Yahuwah answers him. And this verse, Jeremiah 12:5, is also our theme for the Pesach feast we are having this coming week. If you have run with the footmen, O Jeremiah, made you tired, how are you going to run with the horses? Jeremiah, if the wickedness of this world is making you tired now already, how are you going to be able to stand the tests that is still lying ahead? Poor Jeremiah, if you're already tired now, what are you going to do when more trials and tribulations come? You need to overcome each trial by coming back to me, finding your strength with me. Yeshua says, for all those who are thirsty and heavy laden and burdened, come unto me, and I will give you rest. The kind of rest that you will not get from people, or from money, or from gold and silver, or from prosperity, or from divorce, or from changing your husband or your children. Security, the kind of peace that surpasses all understanding. The kind of peace that will make you, like the prostitute, come into the house of the righteous, glorious leaders of Israel. Come right into their house and bow before the feet of Messiah. And with your tears, not by looking all strong and, oh, I'm so strong and I'm fine and my faith is keeping me on my feet. No, be prepared sometimes to fall down on your face and let your tears wet his feet. Take off your shoes and cry before him. Complain before him, Jeremiah. It's fine. Cry before him, O prostitute. Your tears washes his feet. He knows you. He knows your works. He knows you've only got little. He knows your works. He knows you've only got little strength. And while your tears are washing his feet, because you are laying before him on your face like Joshua, he declares that he knows that you love him much more than any of the other Pharisees or even the disciples inside that house. Yeshua said, she loves me so much more than any of you, because of all this that she is doing. Laying in front of him, crying before him, coming to him for answers, even if he doesn't answer you now. But keeping on bowing before him and looking at him only for your answers. While you do what your hand finds to do, while you work for 6 days, you come and rest on the 7th. You spend your time with him so he can teach your arm to make war. Don't trust in man. How to prepare to face any enemy in our life. Whatever your enemy is today, whatever the world's enemy is in this life, in this current situation we are in, that is escalating daily into this new order system that will soon culminate all over the world. This is how we prepare for it. Learn from Joshua, learn from Jeremiah, learn from the prostitute in Luke 7. And let us sign in at this army. This is the army that you want to be part of. Sign in, come and register into this army under this commander, willing to give your life for this king, willing to give your life for your country, for your nation, for God's kingdom, God's people. Follow the commander into the enemy territory. Maybe there'll be no shelter, maybe there'll be no food, but hey, he raised us up. We are this raised up generation. He is the raised up, the stone that was rejected by this world and was broken for us. He was raised up on the 3rd day. We are in his army. Maybe there's tough times ahead. Hey, we're in the greatest army on earth. Because maybe he raised us up for a time such as this. Remember Esther? A time such as this. And if you're not going to stand up and do what you have to do, Esther, says Mordecai, God will raise up somebody else, but you and your family will die. Daniel 11, the raised up generation in the end days, for a time yet appointed, will bring instruction to many, but they will be persecuted by the sword. We are raised up for a time such as this. Join this army. This is the army that has been called out of the dust of the valley of dead bones and is raised up to be the end time generation army, like the 12-year-old daughter. 12 for Israel. Jairus' daughter was 12 years old, and Yahuwah raised her up through Yeshua. The Ezekiel 37 army is raised up. Maybe we at this time, maybe we won't make it. Maybe this army that God is raising up, maybe we'll perish. Like the 12 disciples all witnessed unto death. But through this army, the victory for the kingdom of God will come. Maybe when we storm Jericho tomorrow, maybe we'll army, because whether we live or we die, we will see our God. Whether our bodies perish, our soul will not perish, because He will raise us up. That is what raised up means. We will see life, even if we die in this battle. It does not matter. And that is why it's so important to learn to die to yourself, to die to your own pride. Maybe your problem with your husband or your wife or your children, I don't know. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's time for you to join this army and put on the armor of God and take off the fig leaves of excuses, because that is not an armor for a soldier. That is the fig leaves dress of a coward. Maybe it's time to take off your cowardly excuses. Maybe it's time to take off your cowardly excuses and join this amazing army of God. This raised up army of God, Yeshua, the commander, is sending out his soldiers. Matthew 10 verse 5. Then sent Yeshua the 12 and said, Go not into the way of the Gentiles and into any city of the Samaritans, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. This is what the end time army must do. And as you go, preach and say, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils. Freely you have received, freely you must give. Provide neither gold nor silver, no brass in your purses, no scrip for your journey, neither 2 coats, neither shoes, nor yet staffs, for the workman is worthy of his meat. Verse 14, And whoever shall not receive you, nor hear your words, when you depart out of their house or their city, shake off the dust from your feet. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents, harmless as doves. But be aware of men, for they will deliver you to the councils, and they will scourge you in the synagogues, and you shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. Listen, army, this is what you need to do, and this might happen to you when you do it. But when they deliver you up, don't worry about what you're going to say, for in that hour it shall be given to you what you must speak. For it is not you that speak, but the Ruach of your Father that speaks in you. And the brother shall deliver up the brother to death, and the father the child, and children shall rise up against their parents, and cause them to be put to death. And you shall be hated by all men for my name's sake, but he that endures to the end shall be saved. But when they persecute you in the city, flee to another. For verily I say unto you, you shall not have gone over all the cities of Israel till Messiah comes back. The disciple is not above his master, nor the servant above his Lord. Verse 28. And fear not them that kills the body, but are not able to kill the soul. Rather fear the commander of the army of God, who is able to destroy both soul and body in Gehenna. This is the commander of the army teaching us the way in which to do warfare, the way in which to go into the battle. Following Matthew 10 verse 38, and he that takes not up his execution stake, his cross, and follow after me, his name's sake shall find it. He that receives you receives me, and he that receives me receives yes, he that receives you when you preach to them, when you are part of this army, when you do the soldier work, he receives Yeshua, and he that receives Yeshua receives God who has sent Yeshua. That is why it's so important to follow the Messiah, to follow this commander of the army, to follow Yeshua on this way. We follow in the way, and we try and reach the lost sheep of the house of Israel to come onto this way as well, because we need to help them and cover them with our shields of faith. That's why Ephesians 6 says we must put on the army of God. And while we do this, we pray non-stop, because a big part of our battle is our prayer time on our face, with our noses in the word, crying tears on the feet of our captain. Because a time will come, says the prophet Amos 8 verse 11, behold, the days come, says Yahuwah, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but a famine of hearing, Shema, listen, understand, do, hearing the words of Yahuwah, because nobody is interested in talking about the words of Yahuwah anymore. So there's a famine of hearing the words of Yahuwah. Even inside the camp of the believers, the prophet Amos continues in Amos 9 verse 8. Behold, the eyes of Yahuwah are upon the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from the face of the earth, saving that I will not utterly ever destroy the house of Jacob. For lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Jacob among all nations, like corn is sifted in a sieve, yet shall not be the least grain that will fall upon the ground. So we are also being sifted. That is why we have to find ourselves on our knees before this captain, because he's going to destroy the sinful kingdom, but he's going to sift his kingdom like corn is sifted in a sieve. Remember when Yeshua said to Peter, Satan has demanded to sift you like sieve, but I have prayed for you. And God continues through the prophet Amos, all the sinners of my people shall die by the sword, he says. So there are tough times for this army ahead, and if we are not going to be willing like wheat and to be purified like gold, then we are going to die together with the rest of the enemies of God. But if we're going to trust God, trust the commander, know that we are going into this battle. We're not sure what's going to happen, but we know that his will be done, because he promises even through the prophet Amos, verse 14, I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel. They shall build again the waste cities and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and drink the wine thereof. They shall also make gardens and eat the fruit thereof. And they will never be pulled out of this land, the promised land, the covenant that I have promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Be the raised up generation. The previous generation turned around at the brink of the promised land because they didn't trust God, didn't spend time falling down on their face before him, asking him, what is it that you are telling us, O Master? What are you saying to your servant, O Lord? Tell me, I will do it. I will, despite my fear and my troubles that I'm going through, I want to listen to you. I want to do what you want me to do. I want to follow you. Wherever you go, I'll follow you to the ends of the earth. Please, just tell us what to do. And what does he tell us? He says, relax now. Take off your shoes and just spend some time with me, praying, and let me teach you how to make war through my word, because that is how I talk to you. Hebrews 1 verse 1, in these last days. So let us take off our shoes, guys. Let us slow down our breathing and our heart. Let us slow down our breathing and our heart rates. Let us not be fearful of the day of tomorrow, because can you make your life longer by fearing and worrying about tomorrow? Yeshua asks. Trust Yahuwah. Endure all the way to the end, even with little strength, because He knows your work. And as you lay before Him, you who were an adulterer, an idolater before, but has repented and been forgiven, you are now washing His feet with your tears. He will raise you up, and you will be strong in His end-time army. Through your weakness, He is strong. Through your lying on the ground, Joshua, the captain of the heavenly host, with a sword in his hand,